34. The Truth. At the end of class, I took my time getting my stuff together while everyone else left the room. When the door opened, I figured it was someone from the next class coming in, but it wasn't. "I just wanted to pick up a few things I forgot," Miss Sigafest said. "Oh," I said. I noticed one of her long scarves hanging over her chair, so I wandered over to her, picked it up, and handed it to her. I had never stood so close to Miss Sigafest before. On the one hand, it was totally terrifying. On the other hand, I saw something in her eyes I'd never noticed before. Sadness. And a whole lot of it. "Thank you," she said. As she reached for it, the bag she was holding slipped from her hand and fell to the floor. Out tumbled a pack of gum, some keys, a wallet, and a red folder stuffed with blue paper sticking out every which way. Our eyes met quickly, and in that second I had all I needed to confirm my suspicion. It was her. No way. No way. It was her. "You?" "Elise, I'd like to show you something." Miss Sigafest rolled up her sleeve, revealing a small area of skin on her wrist and a thick black smudge. I craned my neck a little bit to see it more clearly. I gasped. Holy high heels. This was no ordinary black smudge. It was a word. Failure. Miss Sigafest had calf and wrote the notes. Holy high heels. I couldn't decide what to say, so I just looked at her, hoping she'd tell me everything I needed to know, but she stayed silent. "So, why?" I finally asked. "Well, when I was growing up, no one knew what calf was. I was treated like some kind of a freak by everyone I knew, strangers, my so-called friends, even my own family." She paused and pursed her lips like she was trying to decide whether to go on. "When I was 18, she said slowly, I read about a man named Dr. Patel who was doing research at the University of Chicago, and I decided to pick up and move all by myself. It was my only hope. My family had moved here from Dr. Patel too, but it's probably a lot different moving somewhere as a baby when you don't even know where your toes are, than as an adult where you've got a whole life in a different place." "Scary," I said. She didn't reply. Getting information out of her was almost impossible, but I tried again. "Was that scary?" I asked. "It was. He helped me a little, but it's harder when you're older. You get used to being treated a certain way, and you believe that's how you deserve to be treated. So I was a very sad person, despite how I had started using the prescription cream and whatnot." She finally continued without me pressing her. "I started teaching, but that first day I saw these young faces in front of me, and all I could see were the faces of the kids who were so horrible to me growing up. Elise, I wasn't the best teacher to you, or to any of the classes who came before you." It was not hard to nod. It was hard to nod. It was hard not to nod. I figured maybe if I could make kids scared of me, even if they thought negative things about me, they wouldn't say so. At least not to my face. She laughed a little, and I thought about how I had called her an evil genius at the fundraising show. If she had heard, it would have itched her like crazy. "When Mr. Todd gave me my students' files this year, and I read about you having CAV, it broke my heart. You've gotten medical attention since you were young, but I can't imagine life has always been easy. I thought if I could help you out, maybe give you some anonymous suggestions, things I wish I'd have done when I was your age. I don't know, maybe your year would be a little less itchy." Her voice trailed off. "But," I said, "if you knew I had CAV and you have CAV, why didn't you just tell me? You could have given me suggestions without the anonymous part." She took a long breath. "I should have, but sometimes it's hard to talk about. Mr. Todd figured out what I was doing a little while ago, and at first he was concerned, but then he was supportive once I explained how it was helping you." "Yeah," I agreed. "You were super helpful. You made me explore a leader." She gave me a long look, and the corners of her mouth turned up into a smile. "No," she said. "You earned it, Elise. I just gave you some ideas. You're the one who made it happen, and it was always more about feeling better anyway." Had I made it happen? All this time, it just felt like I was following directions. But maybe she was right. I'd performed in the fundraising show by myself. I'd led the planning meetings on my own. I'd gotten myself out of the wilderness. She gave me ideas, but I did it, and felt way better about myself in the process. Holy high heels! Maybe she was a good teacher after all. The best, really. I actually want to thank you, she went on. Now we were both grinning. I thought of my letters to myself. If I had told myself that I'd be alone in a room with Miss Sigathus, smiling, I would have never believed it in a million years. But here we were. By writing to you and watching you grow, I realized how much I love helping students individually. That's why I told Mr. Todd today that I'm leaving Whitman Middle so I can go to school to learn to be a counselor. I got into a program I was planning to start this summer, but I decided I didn't want to wait a minute more. Life's too short. If I leave now, I can start spring quarter with other new students next week. Wow, that's really cool, Miss S. There were so many questions I wanted to ask her, so many things I wanted to say, but I could tell she was getting antsy. While she was talking, she had been picking all the stuff up from her bag and looping her scarf around her neck. It's time for me to go, she told me, reaching for the door handle. I can't wait to feel better about myself, to be okay, like you are, Elise. Thank you so much. And with a quick wave, she walked through the door and left me standing there, jaw on the floor. She just left, just like that, and then she was gone. And that was it. I wandered out of the classroom in a daze. Miss Sigathus had calved and had written the notes. My head was spinning all over the place. But when I saw Liam perched against the locker out in the hall, all by himself, everything about Miss Sigathus cleared out for a second to make way for one major thought. Get him! For once, I wasn't afraid of what might happen or what Liam might think of me. I had broken up with nice Andy with my voice and not with a wimpy note. I had rescued myself from the wilderness. I had figured out who wrote the blue notes. I was okay, even if Liam didn't like me or what I had to say. Liam, I said in a voice so firm that it even surprised me, we need to talk. Why did you ditch me in Minnesota? I don't know, he shrugged. I felt like it. He felt like it? Sometimes I felt like painting the walls of my house with hot pink nail polish. That didn't mean I actually did it. Really? That's why? He looked down at his feet and tugged at his collar like it was choking him. Was that sweat I saw too? Was Liam nervous? Around me? No, that's not why. I just got scared after I told you the truth, okay? I didn't want you going around blabbing to everybody that I wrote you that note. I thought if I could get back first, I could tell Mr. Todd that you were saying crazy things, that you were sick from the cold or something. I was going to lead him to you, I swear. I would never have left you out there forever. Now Liam's eyes were big and wide, looking right into mine, like he was worried I was going to storm down the hall and go tell Mr. Todd everything. Well, I wasn't a tattletale, but I also wasn't happy. He still hadn't said the one thing I wanted to hear. I'm sorry. But the truth would have to be good enough. And finally, throwing away that stupid gum later wouldn't hurt either.